Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this month's Google Hangout here at Business Training Made Simple. My name's Sarah Kerrigan. Today I'm joined by Michelle Carville, social media trainer, consultant, and author. Recently published the book, The Business of Being Social, which now I believe, Michelle, is the most 5-star reviewed social media book on Amazon.
It is, yeah. We've had over 60 reviews, and yeah, really lovely reviews. Great to hear that so many people are getting so much out of the book as a social media planning resource.
Great, congratulations. That's
Thank
great
you.
news. So just before we get started, a couple of things. Any questions that you do have throughout, please do post them. There should be a little chat at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, which you can just log into with your name and email. That'll take you through to the chat room where you can post any questions to us throughout. And of course, you can always post them on Twitter also by the hashtag MindMoTraining. And at the end of the session, it'll be about 45 minutes to an hour long, we will then be revealing a discount code which you can use on any of our social media or search marketing training courses in the next month. Okay, lovely. We're just now going to transfer over to the slides and we'll get started. Okay, so Michelle, so you're going to be talking us through a step-by-step guide on how to create an effective marketing plan.
Great. Okay, so what I'm going to cover in this time we have together is the practicalities for developing a marketing plan. We're going to look at vision, mission and strategy, look at some analysis, because of course before we set off on our journeys it's really important that we have the analysis. So a SWOT analysis, some competitor analysis, some customer analysis, ensuring that we've got all our analysis in place so we're really rounded in what we can do. Then we'll look at tactics, you know, looking at the marketing mix, the channels that we're actually going to use within our plan. And then looking at how you can map out an implementation and action plan, budgets, and of course, all importantly, the monitor and evaluate. What we don't want to do with our marketing activity is repeat activities that weren't very fruitful. So it's always critical to ensure that you include some form of metrics within your activity plans so that you can learn and hone, testing and measuring all the time to make sure that your marketing becomes intelligent marketing and that you are practicing it, you know, in a positive way rather than just repeating campaigns that don't do very well. Very often, it seems like a common sense thing, but very often when I ask people that I'm working with, you know, so how did that campaign work? They haven't put those metrics in place, and in this day and age, that's kind of unforgivable. So we'll be looking at those. Okay, so let's get started. And let's get started with this great saying by, it's not my saying, it's a saying by Stephen Covey, but it's a very important statement, really. Start with the end in mind, and that is absolutely fundamental in all planning activity. We need to know where we're going in order to get there, and in order to get there very often we have to have some goals or some objectives. And when you're putting together your marketing plan, very often it can be blurred with almost your business plan, and it might be that you have rolled your business plan and marketing plan all into one, and that's doable, you know, you can do that. But from this perspective I want you to think about, if you have, you know, look at this model here. We've got corporate objectives, then we've got the marketing objectives, then the marketing strategies, then the marketing tactics. And this is a traditional route to kind of taking your business objectives into actual marketing activity. So if we look at those corporate objectives there, so the corporate objectives might be to grow revenues by 15% per annum in each of the next 5 years. So this would be part of a business's 5-year plan. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a 5-year plan. I agree. I kind of think 3 years is probably the maximum you should go to, and all plans are just plans. You know, they should be as flexible as possible. But those are the corporate objectives. The marketing objectives, therefore, help you to deliver on those corporate objectives. So how am I going to grow my revenues by 15% per annum in each of the next 5 years? I'm going to look to increase my UK market share to 17%, and I'm going to grow my average customer spend by 5%. Those are two of the objectives that I'm going to implement that will help me to deliver on the bigger picture business objectives. So I hope that makes sense. And then, of course, from our marketing objectives, we drill down into our marketing strategies, which means to help me increase my UK market share to 17% and grow my average customer spend by 5%, I'm going to refocus the product range on high margin items and introduce a new CRM system, a new customer relationship management system into industrial divisions so that I can track the spend of what my customers are doing. And then, of course, the tactics, drilling down even further, that this is the nuts and bolts of the activities, what we're actually going to do. I'm going to improve agreements with key suppliers. I'm going to conduct some search engine advertising campaigns. I'm going to put some direct marketing campaigns together. I'm going to start advertising through Facebook, etc., etc. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of a pathway to think about corporate objectives right down to the marketing tactics. And the way I address this when we're looking at our marketing planning is that I say, okay, so what's the vision? What's the strategy? What are the tactics? Okay, and the mission strategy, you can get hung up in creating a vision statement and a mission statement, but I do think it's absolutely fundamental that you have some focus as to where you are heading. What are the goals? What is it we want to achieve over the next X period, whatever that period needs to be. So here is an example. What is your vision for the 3 years hence? So, for example, in this example, I'm going to say that I want to be the leading cat groomer in Berkshire by 2017. I want 8 salons and I want to have 20 expert cat groomers working spread out within those 8 salons. So that is my vision over the next 3 years. And what I will have done is planned that out in my business plan as to when those new salons come on board, when I need to recruit new people, etc., etc., and the amount of business that I need to be generating to enable me to deliver on those. Then I have my mission, what is it I'm looking to achieve here? To achieve a turnover of X with X% profitability by 2017. So, I want to be a profitable business. I want to be a growing growth business. And then, of course, the fundamentals, the strategy and tactics. How are you going to get there? I'm going to have some new marketing campaigns. I'm going to partner with complementary organizations. I'm going to do some local radio and PR activity. I'm going to focus on doing educational events and seminars. I'm going to set up blogging. I'm going to go out into social media, etc., etc. So these are all my kind of very, very top line goals of what I want to achieve and my views on how I'm actually going to get there. Of course, to go somewhere, you've got to know where you are now, and your marketing plan is a great place to document the analysis as to where you are right now and where you want to go. So review your current performance and your situation. Ask yourselves questions like, how well are you currently performing? And from that perspective, you can look at financial analysis, so you can do the financials, this is what we look like financially. You can do your competitor analysis, what's contributing, who's contributing in that space. And of course, analysis around, well, what's really helping us, what's contributing to our success, or indeed what's really holding us back, what's contributing to our failure, and what needs therefore to change. So a great resource for kind of assessing your current situation and the scope of where you want to go is an analysis tool called SWOT analysis. And some of you may be very familiar with this. For some of you, this may be a new analysis technique. And effectively, a SWOT analysis is quite simple. You just plot out here into 4 quarters: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? And to illustrate that, I suppose in the theoretical perspective, strengths and weaknesses are things that you tend to look at that are quite internal to your business. So they are kind of a reflection. You know, this is where you reflect on, well, what strengths do we have, what weaknesses do we have. That tends to be more about you. So strengths can be things like, look, we have a great reputation and a really good image amongst our clients. So that's a great strength. You have a high percentage of the market share. You know, it might be you're in a very niche area and you own a lot of that niche market, and therefore, you know, having a high percentage of the market share gives you a lot to go at. It might be, again, this reputation for quality, excellent service levels, how effective your communications are. You know, you always get a good response to any communications that you send out. So those are your kind of internal strengths. Your internal strengths might be your people, that you've got some absolutely very talented people that would be very difficult for anybody else to replicate. So it might be that you've got some very strong processes in place, and again, that might be a strength. It might be that you have got some great technical abilities, or some technical processes or products that make you doing business better than anybody else, you know, makes it difficult for anybody else to catch up with you. So those are your strengths, and they tend to be a reflection of looking internally. Similarly with your weaknesses. So weaknesses might be things like you don't have enough skilled workforce, you know, so you've got all this intent, but you just recognize you haven't got enough skilled workforce to help you deliver on what it is that you want to deliver. It might be that you have a workforce that isn't very motivated. The motivation of your employees isn't enough. And if you're a service-based organization, you know, your people are fundamental to what it is that you do. It might be that a weakness is that you have a very niche offering, and therefore the market isn't as big because it is so niche. And so what can be a strength, in as much that you have this very niche offering, can also be a weakness, because there are elements that, you know, because it's so niche, it means there is a limited market for it. It might be that your cash flow, the way that that you manage the business, or indeed the way that people buy your services, means that your cash flow is a weakness in helping you to progress and move forward. Or it might be that, you know, you've had a change of leadership, and whilst that might prove to be a strength down the line, right now through this change of leadership, it's a bit of a weakness. So it's about an internal reflection as to where you are right now, that snapshot view. And then of course we have opportunities. And for opportunities, again, you don't have to say these are internal or external. You can do these. You could even do a SWOT analysis that says strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats internally, strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats externally. You know, the way you plot this out is over to you. So opportunities, if we do look externally, it might be things that you are globally connected, which is fantastic. You know, you've got global connections, which means that you can take that reach even further. It might be that you've got great geographical coverage, that you have a network of delivery partners that are geographically spread rather than just being out of one location. And that might be an opportunity, or it might be an opportunity that you want to explore, that you're thinking, actually, if we are in other parts of the country rather than just in London. So, for example, in Business Training Made Simple, if we've trained out of Manchester or Birmingham or Edinburgh or Glasgow, as well as London, that would be an opportunity for us to expand the services that we do. The opportunity also might be technological development, that you have innovated in some way or developed some technological development that gives you this external opportunity above your competitors. Threats might be things like global competition. You know that we are a very globally connected world now. Technology does connect us that way. And if you have an online proposition, then your competition could come from absolutely anywhere, and that might be a threat. It might be that currency exchanges are a threat, because you trade you know, in a certain currency, and the currency is weakened because of the economy. So there are lots of ways at looking at SWOT analysis, but at least this shows you, this diagram shows you, you can cut up the SWOT analysis and focus either internally or externally or both, however way you want, to help you map out where you are right now. It's a really useful exercise. Whenever I work with organisations and I say, let's just do a very quick SWOT analysis as to what's happening right now, it's very illuminating, and it's a great teamwork thing to do, you know, team exercise really, to get as many team members collaborating, because you do get some interesting insights. So more about market analysis. What is the state of your market? So if you think about the whole the very simple mantra, you know, plan, listen, analyze before you engage, which is something we talk about a lot. If this element is the analysis, this is the research, the fundamental understanding. The planning is understanding where you want to go, almost your vision, your mission. These are my goals. The analysis is fundamental to understanding what the state of the market is. So, for example, my vision, as we saw before, was to be the go-to cat groomer in the UK by 2017. So that was my, you know, that's the vision, the mission, the strategy I want to deliver over the next 3 years. Therefore, I need to understand what that market looks like. So what does the cat grooming sector look like in the UK? How valuable is it? You know, what is it valued at? I need to understand its worth to make sure that there is opportunity for me to be, you know, to be leveraging that. I need to understand whether the sector is growing or not. You know, lots of sectors are reducing, and therefore I need to understand what the state of that market is. You don't necessarily want to enter a market where it's had its day and there is very low growth, because that may not work alongside your objective. So you need to understand what's happening with the market. You need to understand what your competition looks like. You know, how many other salons are there in Berkshire? You know, who am I up against? Are they online? Are they offline? Are they offering mobile services? What does that space look like? You know, what does my competitor look like? Looking at a breakdown of the services they typically offer, and of course drilling into more detail in competitor analysis about that competition and about that market. So who do I think my main competitors are? Who are the main customers of my competitors? So, you know, if they've got if I'm thinking, well, I need to be partnering with vets, yet I know that my competitors have already partnered with the main vets in Berkshire, I'm now going to have to think about a campaign to move them away from my competitors over to me. So I then have to do some insights and get some understanding, maybe do some research with those customers to figure out what they think of my competitor. I need to look at the analysis as to what they charge, how they position themselves in the market. You know, are they saying they are the most service excellence? You know, they have 5-star reviews. Do they have independent reviews? Is it that they're saying we're the cheapest, we're the lowest cost? Is it that they're saying we're the fastest, you know, or is it that they're saying we're the most mobile, we'll get to you within 2 hours, you know, whatever your cat grooming challenge will be there. So what's the USP? How are your competitors positioning themselves? And it's definitely worth having a look at all of that and building a story around what your competitor's story looks like, you know, from a start, middle, end, considering all of those components. And of course, there's lots of ways that you can do that activity. I mean, I'm not saying you have to go to a market research organisation now to get these insights. You can do a lot of this insight and research activity yourself. You can find your competitors' websites. So therefore, in their websites, they usually talk about who they are and how they position themselves in the market, and sometimes even give insights to the fees that they charge. So website research can be very illuminating. Of course, social media channels are fantastic channels for research. Twitter, Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, Google Plus pages, Pinterest. Organizations that are doing social well are sharing a lot of content about who they are, their views, who they're working with, customer testimonial videos. There's a lot of insight there. So from a competitor analysis, you are able to share and find out from a number of sources what is going on with your competitors. I mean, one of the things we talk about in the Business Training Made Simple training courses, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or our general social media introduction courses, is how to set up channels in social media so that you can listen to your competitors on a regular basis, because and you can do that without your competitors even knowing. So, if you think, oh, well, if I follow them on Twitter, they're not going to start talking about the latest customer venture they've just moved into. Well, you can actually follow people on Twitter, as we've covered in one of these webinars in an earlier series, without people even knowing that you are doing so. So think about the practicalities of competitor analysis and what you can be doing to better understand your landscape. And of course, competitor, your own analysis, how your business is right now, an honest translation of what that looks like right now is really useful from an analysis perspective. Competitor analysis is really important. But, of course, fundamental is customer analysis. Who are your current customers, if indeed you already have customers? And very often, when I'm working on marketing plans with organizations, we will talk about what does your current customer base look like, because starting from home and understanding, what your current customer base looks like is a very good indicator for how for other customers you want to go out and get. So very often I say, well, look, if you have a customer base, put them into almost segments. I have this customer base, I have that customer base. You can understand quite a lot from your customers that you've currently got, and therefore it gives you some great insights as to who you then want to go and target. Because if you find you have a specific customer sector that is very, very profitable, very, very loyal, they've been with you for a long time, there's no quibble about the fees, there's no quibble about when they pay you, I would rather go and find more of those types of customers than I would those that give you a lot of pain and heartache. So do some customer analysis. Who are your customers? Do you see any geographical patterns? Are ones based in Yorkshire more loyal to you than those based further afield, for example? What do they buy from you? Do you understand the products that people buy from you and the average transaction value? How much do they spend when they come with you? And which customers are spending more? What's the lifetime value of a customer? How long do those customers stay with you? And if it's for a period of 3 years, then what is that lifetime value? What is the estimated value of you winning a customer? Because that can often help you understand, how much budget you're prepared to spend to win a customer. Because if you know the lifetime value of a customer is, let's say, £3,000, you wouldn't mind spending £1,000 getting that customer, because you've still got a very significant profit margin at the end of the day. So understanding the lifetime value, understanding things like average transaction values, how much they spend each time or over the course of a period of time, is really important. How long they stay with you, again, is really important. If your customers only buy from you once and they never return, well, there's a campaign there potentially for winning them round and getting them to spend more with you, just as we saw in one of the objectives earlier on. Why do you lose customers? Do you know why you're losing customers? Do you do things like exit surveys? So when you lose a customer, do you actually go back and survey that customer and ask them why they're leaving, and try and understand, what you can be doing better? So customer analysis can really teach you a lot about retaining customers. I mean, if you think about it, lots of organizations, and we've all done this, is that, new business development, which we'll come on to in a little bit, is all about getting new customers. But actually, those customers that you already have are far more likely to buy from you additional services than going out and finding new customers. So do, as we'll look at in a minute when we get down to the marketing activity, do think about how you can be leveraging the customers you've already got, and just getting those customers to buy a little bit more from you or return and buy more frequently from you is a great strategy. at a good customer market.
Going to interrupt Michelle because we've just got a question which is quite relevant. It's just, do you recommend the most effective way of collecting customer information?
The most effective way of collecting customer information, I mean, whenever we take on a new customer, we have a very simple customer relationship management software tool called Capsule CRM, and it's very low cost. I think it's from as little as £8 per user, and it's a database. I mean, you capture your customers' database. So when they come on board with you, if it's a web business, I suppose you'd ask them to fill out a web form of some description, and that information from the website can talk directly through to your customer relationship management system. If you sell something in a shop, and you know it's a retail scenario, there are definitely loyalty schemes and various things like that that you can do whereby you can collect your customers' details. So I think asking customers for, you know, their name, their email address, their address, their location when they come to you. You don't need a lot of information, and then over time, if you have a good customer relationship management resource, you build a picture of what they buy from you, how often they buy from you, how much they spend with you, because every transaction is being documented in your customer relationship management. So I do think having a customer database, however that is, once upon a time ours was in a simple Excel spreadsheet, you know, and it was still valuable, but just a lot more difficult to get insights out of. So you know, nowadays customer relationship management tools are readily accessible and very easy to use, and can be highly illuminating in helping you to collect data, understand your customers, and indeed gather insights and forecast and all sorts of things. So yeah, you know, a very low cost starting point and a very, very sophisticated tool, I would say, is Capsule CRM. Have a look at that.
Okay, hope that helps, Mark.
So are you the only supplier? You know, is something else to be thinking about in customer analysis. You know, do they buy just from you? Do they depend on you, or you know, are they using many? How did they find you? That's something that we ask on our website. How did you find us? You know, was it through Google? Was it through a referred? If somebody phones us up, we ask that question, and we don't just ask that question and that information gets put nowhere. You know, we document that as we are building the picture in the customer relationship management software. And what marketing methods work for them, and you can find this out by by tracking what works for you. So if you send emails and people respond to emails and you're getting a good response by that, then you would seem to think that, well, okay, that customer prefers to respond to emails. If they prefer to respond to Facebook activity or social media activity, then you know you need to build that picture. So start building a picture about what marketing method works for them and segmenting your customers that way as well. And again, you know, CRM systems enable you to do that quite seamlessly. Another thing that I find that's really useful, and something that we do a lot of, is that we build, you know, personas. Personas is something that has kind of come across out of the States in the last couple of years and seems to be very popular. But I mean, in my, you know, I've been in marketing for a long time, and we've always referred to them as customer storyboards. You know, let's build a storyboard about who this customer is. So whether you want to use the term persona or storyboard or whatever it is, effectively it's building a picture, building a story of who your customers are, what they look like. So it's kind of taking the analysis that we've just been talking about, you know, all of this kind of who are they, where are they, what do they buy, how much do they spend, etc., and adding some lifestyle elements to it as well, you know, as much insight that you can possibly understand. Because once you understand the customer personas or the stories around your customers, it really helps you to create a very targeted approach and language when you are communicating with them. It also helps you to build relevant and purposeful content to them. So if you're working on a nurture campaign, into current customers, and you know that you're talking to, let's say here, Jennifer, the female vet, who's age 37, married to Nigel, works in the city, she's got 2 small children, she's juggling business and family, you know, already I'm building a picture of the types of things that she would read. She's a partner in her own practice with Phil, she loves the outdoors, she's a bit of a foodie, good wine, reads Pet Weekly and Nature, you know, she's quite well connected. I've gleaned these insights and I'm able to build a picture around who this customer is. If we move on and, you know, we ask ourselves questions about how to help us build these things, these are things that you can start to build into your customer insights down the line. I'm not necessarily saying that the minute you take on a customer you start to ask them a whole list of questions, because that would just be annoying, but over time you build a picture. Or if you've met them face to face, you physically start to understand, ask these more kind of lifestyle, social questions about them. So how many different personas might you have in your customer base? You know, if I was to say to you, give me the names of 5 different types of customers, you could probably see that there will be patterns in the way that how your customers kind of form. Where do they spend their time? You know, do they spend it online? Are they in social networks? Do they go to offline networks? Do they go to lots of events? How old are they? You know, just the basic demographic of age. How old are they? Do you have some customers that are much younger, or do you have some customers that are much older, or do they all seem to be, you know, between the age of 35 and 45, or is there a mix? You know, where do they shop, if that's relevant? How do they spend their leisure time? If that's relevant to your business, that might be something you need to find out about. What do they do? Again, that might be something are they consultants? Are they all IT consultants? Are they in law? Are they legal? Are they all vets? Are they all pet distributors? Whatever that is. And, you know, what do they look like? I mean, it's quite interesting that whenever I'm thinking about building a persona with a client, you know, around, they're saying, oh, help, I'll say, well, let's think of somebody famous. Are they Jamie Oliver, or are they Grace Kelly? You know, there's a very big difference, and you can start to assign kind of patterns to people. So if we just have a look at a few storyboards here. So here's Jennifer, there she is, she's the vet. She reads The Guardian, she shops in Waitrose, she likes fine wine, she probably shops online at Boden. Whereas Gina, you know, over here is older, she still likes fine wine, she holidays on cruises, she likes walks, she shops at Marks and Spencer's, and she reads the Daily Mail. So you can see that you're starting to build pictures around who these people are, and that helps you then focus your marketing messages to slightly different people. Or indeed, if you were doing an event, you might think, well, actually they're all into fine wine, I'm going to do a cheese and wine event, you know, and invite everybody to that, because there is a commonality. So in some ways you're looking at how you can segment people out using your storyboards, and then you're looking for commonalities with how you can bring them together that's going to be relevant and purposeful, so it feels targeted to them. So customer insights, you know, that's how you can go about building your and understanding, you know, and segmenting your customers and putting them into some sorts of pockets, so that we're not necessarily just machine gun marketing to every single person in your database. You know, we're able to target slightly different messages, or the language slightly different, to attract people. And of course the other things is that in that analysis is really understanding what problems that you can solve for your customers. I mean, and this is really important, because most organizations, most people, when they're looking for a service, it's because they've recognized that they have a gap, or there's a problem, or there's some pain. You know, there's usually a reason why they are out looking for your product or service, and therefore you want to make sure that you match and that pain, you know, or that problem, that you can showcase that you are the people to overcome that problem with, and therefore listen to what is going on with the prospective audience. So for example, if I was targeting vets as my cat grooming business and growing my business and I was targeting vets, the research I would be doing is I would be listening to what the problems are that vets have in the cat grooming world. And it might be that response times, service quality, fees, not being able to trust the people that they're sending the pets to or referring to, all of those elements might be the problems that the vets have. And therefore, I would make sure in all of my marketing messages and everything that I was doing as part of my marketing activity, I would be addressing those problems. So understanding the challenges and then coming up with the goods to solve those is really important. Your marketing proposition based around customer needs is far more compelling than just based around something you think you want to market. So you've always got to be thinking about the audience. You know, how can you compel them to want to choose you over your competitors? So you've got to understand what the problems are. You've got to understand how you can kind of get ahead of the game by showcasing that these are genuinely the things that you can do to make their life easier. You know, what can you do to make that solution unique, and how can you turn the fact that you can deal with these challenges into potentially your USP? You know, do you do it faster? Do you do it better? Do you do it cheaper? You know, or do you do it with more quality? What are those challenges? So as I said, build your marketing proposition around customer needs. It's so much more targeted, and targeted marketing is the most effective marketing. You know, yes, machine gun marketing you can do and you may get lucky, you know, but targeted marketing can be far more effective and far more, you know, less energy consuming. So once we have focused on all of our analysis and we've done our analysis and we're focusing on our goals, we really need to be clear on what we want to achieve. And when we're talking about goals and goal setting, we talk about having SMART goals. So not just having goals that are just absolutely, and I want to be the number one, I want to be on have my own cat grooming TV show by 2017, you know, or not even, or I just want to have my own cat grooming TV show. That's a really nice vision, but it's not necessarily a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound goal. So what we're talking about here is those specifics. So when you write the goals out, write the word SMART down the side of there and think, you know, am I being specific enough? Have I added a measurable here, something I can measure? You know, is it a date? Is it a percentage? Is it a monetary thing? You know, what is it? Is this attainable? You know, am I actually being, you know, is this that could be attainable, achievable? Am I being realistic here? Relevant, is it relevant to my business? You know, your goal needs to be focused on helping you achieve your business objectives. So you want to be making sure that what you're putting here in your goals is relevant and time bound. You know, I could say I want to achieve everything, but if I don't give myself any time to achieve it by, then I don't have anything to aim for. So your goals must be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and ideally time-bound. So let's have a look at some examples of SMART goals. So it might be something like increase the number of leads that I'm receiving to 25 per week within 6 months. So therefore, I have been very specific. I've given 25 per week within 6 months. I've made sure that there's measurables there. So I've got a 6-month time-bound period. I've got my 25 in a week. I've got some really specific measurable things. I'm assuming I think these are attainable. It's definitely relevant to the growth of my business, and therefore that would be a SMART goal. Another might be to convert 20% of leads to new customers. So any leads that I get in, I want to convert 20%. So I've got a target, I've got this metric, I've got this goal, it's achievable. I'm being quite specific here. I want to achieve that much into new customers. Again, it's relevant. It's hitting my SMART goals. Increase the average spend from X to X, or it might be that by a percentage. So I want to increase the average spend from £28 to £44, or I want to increase it by, you know, 20%. Again, whatever it is, but I am setting something specific. I've got some clear, very clear, specific goals here, some metrics that I can understand. It might be another one, might be increase the number of transactions per customer from 2 a year to 3 a year within 12 months. Again, very, very specific, smart goals. So think about your goals. Look at them if you've written them down, and think about them and put them against those smarts, and make sure you've got specifics in there. Specifics, measurables, they're relevant, they're attainable, and that you've got some time there in there. You're giving yourself something to aim for, so you can keep tracking this every month. So here are some other real life targets and objectives taken from a plan that I snipped. So you can see here a strategic financial objective is to generate 50% increase in profit per annum. Reduce cost of acquisition, so we want to reduce the cost of how much it's costing us to get those new customers from a particular number, £175, by more advocacy incentive program to £100. So we're that's almost reducing it by 50%, isn't it? There's about 42% there. So that's quite significant. That without doing any marketing would add quite a lot to the bottom line. Growth is projected as £100 revenue per annum from each client with an average fee of £299. So again, we've got these targets, and then we've got the objectives. So these are my targets. Now I've got the marketing objectives. So in order to help me deliver on those targets, I'm going to increase the average transaction via additional services by £100 per customer per year. I'm going to increase repeat purchase or advocacy from 1.3 to 2, including some form of referral scheme. I'm going to increase the number of high-value work potential clients, consultancy, to 1 per month. And I'm going to increase the number of delegates on each course from an average of X to X. Okay? So there are some very specific smart goals here, and you can see those live in action. The other thing I talked about was audiences, and very often most of our new business development and marketing activity, we focus outwardly. But I would say that all marketing activity and all plans should focus on, if it's relevant, your current audience and new audiences, because do not forget that you really need to be considering your current audience as part of your marketing campaigns. They are an audience you've already got, and they are a much warmer audience. They are far more likely to purchase from you than going out to a new cold audience. And so, marketing activities should not neglect starting at home with the audience you've already got. So current audience, yes, you can be doing new business and development into that current audience. You should definitely be doing some nurture activity as part of your marketing plans, and you should be thinking about how we can get that repeat business going, and you should definitely be thinking about advocacy and referral. Most of the business that is generated for organizations, particularly in the consulting sector, is generated through advocacy and referral. It is word of mouth, and let's not you estimate how powerful that is, and that can last for years and years. You do a great job with somebody, and if they refer you on, that is a great source of new business generation. So plan for referral. Plan that into your activity, because referral and advocacy is absolutely key. So whether it's a new audience, even if you go out to a new audience and they become a customer, plan then, drip them immediately into your nurture campaign so that they start to become advocates for you, because advocates is what will help you get your marketing. That's free marketing. They are out there generating new business for you. So advocacy is a key campaign. And then, of course, you've got your current audience there, and then you've got your new audience. So do think, when you're doing your marketing planning, current and new, business development, nurture, repeat business, advocacy, into both of those audiences. And then we look at the marketing mix and which channels you'll use. And, there's loads of channels that you can use. Traditional marketing channels, direct mail, telesales, leaflet drops, press advertising, radio, TV, workshops, events, seminars, all sorts of activity that you can be doing. And of course we have our online activity as well, like Google AdWords, PPC, pay-per-click advertising, Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, LinkedIn advertising, social media marketing, having different social outposts to help you market your business. email marketing, webinars, this Google Hangout today is really a marketing tool. You know, you're on here listening to what we've got to say. We're hoping you're going to come on the training courses if you haven't come on them already. We're hoping you're going to get more involved with Business Training Made Simple. We are giving you free advice so that hopefully you'll say, hey, these guys are good. Let's you know, talk about them and share them, growing that advocacy. So whatever it is, whichever channels you choose, you then have to think about how you put that mix together. And here is how you can then pretty much map that out. This is a really simple plan. I've just put this so it fits on the slide. And of course you can see that this could get much more sophisticated. But a very simple starting point for your marketing planning and your action plan could be my activity here. So my activity number 1 might be a direct mail campaign. My activity number 2 might be an email marketing campaign. My activity number 3 might be a pay-per-click Google advertising. My activity number 4 might be social media marketing activity. Whatever that is, I can put all my different activities down there, give them a description, talk about which audience I'm focusing on, talk about the size of that audience, the frequency of the activity. So it might be that, you know, you're running a campaign from January to March on Google AdWords, etc., and the timeline, you know, you add that in. So and if you wanted, you could add resource onto this. So who's responsible? You know, if you've got a team of people, you need to add resource onto that. So you can go as far or as wide as you need to go. Other considerations that you need to consider is budget and financial implications. So consider everything you're going to need as part of your campaigns, the different materials you're going to need, different resources. Think about the return on investment. What will success achieve for you? You know, what do you want success to look like financially? Organizational implications. If indeed it's those 8 salons with 20 people, I've got expansion issues, I've got people issues, I need to recruit people, that's going to be fine. I need to financially budget for that. It might be that I need to partner with specific suppliers because they are going to help me deliver a specific service that I'm going to be able to need to market. I need to ensure that I'm resourced effectively in order to deliver on the plans that I want to deliver. So make sure you think about budgetary, financial implications and organizational implications. What I would say is don't be completely driven by your budgetary and financial implications, because, you know, set out the goal anyway and then look at your budget and then play around with how you can get the most out of doing what it needs you can do with the budget. Don't say I have a budget of this, how am I going to spend it, you know, because that can almost reduce the innovative thinking behind the objectives you're looking to achieve. So I do think this is the right way to plan. And of course, what you can measure, you can manage. If you are not tracking any of your activity, and it isn't, you know, it isn't common for everybody to be tracking their activity. I am constantly, well, I'm not surprised anymore, but I am constantly amazed that people will do activity without having any metrics in place, so that they have no idea how that campaign specifically performed, and they just continuously repeat the same campaign because that's what they do, without understanding whether it worked, whether it could be improved, how did it go down. You know, that's just such inefficient marketing. So ensure you track your activity. It might be that you're tracking direct sales. It might be that you're tracking, you know, whether or not a campaign supported some direct sales. You can include things like tracking codes and links if it's an online campaign. If you're using an email marketing resource such as MailChimp, it's stacked with analytics that you can learn about who's opening what and which demographics, etc., which audiences are interacting and engaging. Social networks all have analytics behind them, and of course your website. You can have Google Analytics on your website, and Google Analytics is such a rich pot of information. You know, once you know what you're doing with that, it can be really useful in determining which campaigns are working. And then of course there are things like the marketing brand buzz. You know, those are things that you should be measuring as well. You know, did people talk about us more online? you know, or did we get more mentions in the press? So you have PR tracking services, you have free online tracking services like Google Alerts and Mention.net. So you can track a lot of activity around what it is that you're doing. So make sure you get those metrics in place, and then ensure that you are testing and measuring and learning. You know, don't repeat campaigns that bombed. If it bombed for a reason. Try and understand the reason, learn from that, and do and improve it down the line. You know, so if you're not measuring, if you don't understand how things are going, then you really don't have any idea about what it is that you're doing and how you can improve on that. So your actions, before we wrap up, I would like you to write down some goals that you would like to achieve. I mean, 2014, to kick off 2014 for your business, what are your goals for 2014? What is it that you are looking to achieve in 2014? I did this I do this at the beginning of every year. You know, I have 10 things that I write down, and then every year I look at them at the end of the year and I think, yep, ticked a few of those off, and a few other things that weren't on the list. So write down your goals. What is it that you want to achieve? Do your analysis. Do a simple SWOT analysis. Do some competitor analysis. Understand your customers. Do you really understand who your customers are, why they're buying from you, what they buy from you, how frequently they buy from you, what their pain points are, what problems you're fixing for them? You know, understand that analysis, because that is the richness of who you are and what it is that you are doing, and that's how you can build that picture. Build a picture of your marketing positioning. How are you different? What's different about you? And if relevant, build those personas of people that you already have, and therefore people that you want to go out and target. So it's so much more simpler to think about the language that you would use when you can picture the types of people that you're talking to. Map out the channels that are going to work for your audiences. So, you know, if all of your audience, if you're talking to you know, 35-year-old accountants, then think about where the 35-year-old accountants are. Which channels are they working? Which channels are they on? And which channels are working for you? You know, I suspect the majority of them are on LinkedIn in some form of guise. You know, so it might be that LinkedIn advertising is something you want to target because that's where they are potentially. So understand the channels that are going to work for your audiences. And once you understand your audiences, you'll better understand the channels. And work out your marketing messages. Be as targeted and relevant as you possibly can in those messages, and those messages will be different for different audiences, so do keep that in mind. And then build action plans, very simple action plans, you know, or sophisticated action plans, however you want to build your action plans, but build your action plans for each audience, and then monitor them. You know, do your activities, monitor how did that do, and you know, so that you are keeping on top of what is going on within your marketing. So I hope that's helped in helping you to at least start mapping out a framework for your marketing plan. We've got loads of blogs and tools and resources and free marketing plans and free social media plans, etc., on the Business Made Training Made Simple blog. So do check that out. That's packed with resources. And I'll hand you back to Sarah now, who will share some other ways that you can glean insights from our information.
Okay, we have had a few questions come in, Michelle, so we'll just go through these first. So I've got one from Julie here. Realistically, is an effective marketing plan something I can do all on my own?
It depends who you are and what you do, I suppose. If you have, I mean, if you have to really do some very in-depth customer insights or some really in-depth competitor analysis, then you might want some support. But I suspect top line, yes, it is something you can do. You know, marketing plans, traditionally, the marketing plans I've been party to over the years traditionally have gone on and on and on and on for pages and pages and pages and pages of information and analysis that actually not many people read. So I am a big fan of the kind of 5-page plan that says this is what we want to achieve, this is who we are, these are the insights that we've gleaned, there might be some supporting appendix that, you know, pop onto this is what we want to achieve, this is who we are, and these are the activities that we're going to do, and this is what we're going to watch and measure. So for me, I think you keep it as simple as you possibly can. So yes, I do think top line, you should be able to pull a plan together yourself. There is a framework. We provide a framework for you in a free marketing plan through Business Training Made Simple. Use a framework. There's loads of resources online. But yeah, you should be able to do it yourself.
And that probably goes on as well to answer Tom's question, how detailed really does it need to be? So five-page guide.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be. You know, it depends. If you're going for funding and you're looking for seed funding or angel investment funding, and somebody wants to understand how you are going to grow your business in the next 3 years, because they're going to be giving you a lot of money to support that, then yeah, it might have to be a bit more detailed. If this is about you and your partners, or you know, developing a plan of action for how you are going to market and grow your business over the next 5 years, I think you've got to know that stuff before you almost went into business, you know, and this is you just documenting what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And so yes, as long as it works for you, then that should be adequate. I don't think you can say, oh, if it's not 25 pages long, it's not worth its salt. You know, I've seen some excellent 1-page marketing plans that I've thought fantastic, and that looks terribly achievable and very progressive and inspiring. So yes, so it's over to you really.
Okay, another one. How often would you advise that you need to re-look at your marketing plan? Is this something you need to be doing every year, or?
Well, you should be looking at your marketing plan really every kind of month when you're looking at your activities and what have we done. I mean, I like to review the plan every month. Where are we? Where are we on the plan? And so I do review it, not in great detail, but it's there, and it's always coming back to these are our objectives. This is what we're looking out to achieve. Where are we? And I think, you know, every month that you should do that. I only ever create a plan for the 12-month periods, and then every 12 months we plan and we plan and we plan and review. So, you know, yes, you're right. Some people do a 5-year marketing plan or a 3-year marketing plan. I think that, you know, most businesses in the SME sector don't fall into that category of big long scale planning. So I would say annually review your plan and replan, and keep looking at it monthly.
Okay, great, lovely, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so anyone now who's been listening, you can use this discount code at our checkout, marketing50, and that'll give you £50 off any of our upcoming courses. So here you can see we've got Facebook for Business on the 31st of January.
21st,
sorry, I don't know, I said that. Can't read. Twitter for Business on the 27th of January, and Content Marketing on the 5th of February. So any of those courses, you can get that £50 discount at the checkout on our website. Okay, and finally, just remember you can connect with us on our social media channels. We are constantly posting social media updates, hints, tips, and all the resources that we have. So on Twitter, we're at MyMo Training, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Google Plus also. And you can go back and review all of our past Hangouts on our YouTube channel, so have a look on there as well. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll say a quick goodbye, shall we, Michelle?
Yeah.
There we are.
So goodbye, thank you, bye-bye. Bye.